Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today we have with us Amy Thurman. Amy has been on the show before, and it's really my honor to have her back because she is publishing her memoirs, and she's here to talk all about it. She's a host of her own podcast, which is Polish the Mirror. And I love that. And we're going to talk about how she came up with that title, because I had wondered about that before. And she spills the beans on it in her book, which we will talk a lot about. But Amy has, just welcome to the show, Amy. Let's just get into it.
Thank you so much, Jill. I'm so honored to be back again. I always love getting to chat with you, and it's such an honor. Thank you.
It is so fun to talk with you and to just watch how your life has been progressing. I was telling you before we got started that having read your book, I was really caught by the idea of a couple of things. One is that you have a hidden disability. When I've talked to you a number of times, I've seen you on videos, you are out there in the public, and you look like you're just a normal, perfectly fine human being dealing with, the normal everyday things. But that is not the case with you. You have gone through so much in your life, and it really has shaped your mission, which we will also talk about here in a little bit. But it was just kind of eye-opening to me to see how much you endure and just how you carry yourself through life without making it look like, oh, woe is me, I'm suffering, because you never come across that way.
That's good. I do that on purpose. I said to you, before we started that I'm not a complainer. Like it's not going to do any good for me to complain, and I don't want to draw attention to that. What I want to put out into the world is positive energy. I don't want to draw attention to anything that would be considered complaining, and so I really don't talk a lot about the things that I deal with as far as that goes. So I find it interesting that you were surprised by that, because it's not something I share openly, even though I share lots of things openly. That's I love that you shared that with me, because I didn't even think about that, about people not really knowing the extent of what I deal with, on a daily basis, even now.
Yeah. And I know you just had that surgery to on your neck again. Was that to fix the parts that weren't fixable? What was that surgery all about? I guess
Yeah. So the first surgery I had was a fusion. They went through the front, C4 through C7, because the discs were just busted up. Like my neck was just in such bad shape. And so that was in 2015, and C6 and C7 just never fused. Like there was literally a space in there. And so I was like a bobblehead. My head would just bobble around because it wasn't stable. Bone spurs began to grow in that empty space. Gunk, my surgeon called it gunk, is starting to, take up residence in there. And it was just very painful. It was just very painful. I could only hold my head up for a few hours at a time. had to rest a lot. It was just really exhausting. And
Mhm.
so it was obvious that it was not going to fuse. We did all the things that you do to encourage it to fuse. And after, 9 years, it's not fusing, then something needs to be done. And so this time he went in through the back. So he added 4 screws and a plate in the front. This time he went in through the back and added no, eight screws in the front. He added 8 more in the back and another plate. So I now have 2 plates and 16 screws in my neck holding it together to encourage it to fuse, to stabilize that so that I don't am not a bobblehead, so that I
Mhm.
can hopefully hold my head up for longer and that it won't zap my energy just trying to hold my head up. And that's been at the time of this recording, it's been 7 weeks. And so it can take up to 3 months to really see the difference.
Mhm.
But at my 6 week appointment, there is evidence of fusion. So what
That's
has not happened in 9 years is happening. And so it's starting to fuse. So I'm absolutely thrilled about that. I can't imagine what that will do for my life here on out.
that's awesome. That's such great
Yeah.
news.
Yeah,
So,
it really is.
so is your pain a little bit less, or is it at least
It's
not more?
it's interesting that you say that because my surgeon used the word remarkable. He said, it is remarkable the way that you are handling this because in the hospital, I didn't need the heavy, heavy pain meds that they give you. I said, I don't want that. I don't need it. Just give me some
Mhm.
Tylenol. And my surgeon was like, what? And I said, the amount of pain I was living with before, the recovery from the surgery is not that much worse. I just need some Tylenol. And he was just mind blown, like just. And so I recovered quickly. I recovered well. And he said, I have never, ever had a patient recover this quickly, this well, and not need that heavy pain medication. Like his mind was just blown. Um, and so the pain wasn't that much different to begin with, but I have right now this muscle that is very unhappy that is
Mhm.
just really triggered. And that's really the only pain I have in my neck right now is just that unhappy muscle. And those can be painful. But yeah, I mean, it's great. I'm doing really, really well. I'm just so pleased, really.
That's awesome. And pain, muscle pain, eventually that it's going to get used to the idea that that's where it needs to be now, and that'll kind of back off. So
Yeah.
if it's not the neck part that's causing you pain, then that's good news. Very good
Yeah, I'll take
news.
it. Yeah, for sure. I mean,
So
he had to literally slice. This is what he told me. I hope this is not too much.
I'll go for it.
When he went in, he had to literally scrape the muscles off of the bone, and so they're not happy. Like that's. So it's going to
Yeah,
take a while for them to, like you said, to readjust to this is how it is now. Um, but yeah, yeah, the neck part itself is great.
that is such amazing news. I was really
Yeah,
excited for you when it was happening, but I didn't realize how much. I know that you'd been suffering, but not really to the extent or why or how it was impacting your life. And it's impacted your life in huge ways. I mean, when you're that incapacitated over periods of time and you have to depend on other people for, your everyday things. I want to talk about that a little
yeah,
bit because
yeah. That, whew, goodness, that because I went from being so active, doing everything. I worked a full-time job plus, and then I volunteered on the weekends, and I was always doing something. I was the person who could never sit down. I wouldn't call myself hyper. I just like to be busy. And so I went from that to literally not even being able to take myself to the restroom. And that literally was like a form of torture for me. I just could not do anything for myself. And we've shared my story on the other episode about how that took me into a deep dark place that I would never wish on anyone. And I planned to just put an end to it and had this moment of clarity where I decided instead of fighting to die that I would fight to live with the intention of
Mhm.
using my story to help other people. And
Mhm.
so it was through that, it was a whole process. Like this has been 10 years worth. Like it's been 10 years. And so it's taken a long time to really work through that it's okay for me to ask for help. It's okay for me to depend on other people. And I talk about in the book about how I had an opportunity to go to a brain center for 2 weeks, but it was going to cost $15,000, which I did not have that. And so I had just resigned myself to, okay, it's not possible because I don't have that money. And two of my close friends said, you should set up a GoFundMe. I think people, if they know that you need this, they will help you. And I said, oh, I don't know. In my heart, I was like, will people really donate $15,000 to help me do this? I was really questioning that. And to ask people for help, to ask people for that much money, it was just like, oh my gosh, I can't do that. But they convinced me to at least try. And it happened. They came out, within 24 hours, I had enough to make the deposit on the place. And so I have learned so much about changing that mindset that it's okay to ask for help. I don't have to be self-sufficient, even though my, Polish the Mirror, which we're going to talk about, is about finding your hero within. About the name of the book is Finding My Hero Within. Like everything I need is within me. That doesn't mean I don't need help from other people. It just means that I can take care of most of the things that I need internally myself, making me a better member of the community and being able to help others in a better way. And so, yeah, I've had to learn a lot about that. It's okay to ask for help. That it's an admirable thing, actually.
I had a friend who used to talk about we'd just come out of a Sunday service, and it was about the spiritual gifts, and there's a spiritual gift for giving, and he wondered, kind of like absent-mindedly as we were walking along the sidewalk, I wonder if there isn't a spiritual gift of neediness. And it's stuck with me for a really long time, but people don't really understand the value there is in accepting gifts and accepting help, because it really blesses the person who is gifted with giving to be able to exercise that gift to somebody who's appreciative of it. They get something, you get something, and everybody wins. When you're trying to hold yourself off as being only the person that gives, then you're cutting off all the blessings that people who are out there wanting to give to you too. You're cutting them off so that they don't have that opportunity to have that experience of helping you.
That is so true. And when you're saying that, I'm recalling people who would come to my house and bring like gift cards for meals or just cash. There were people who showed up to just hand me cash, and I remember saying to one of them, I'm so sorry I had to ask for this or something like that. And the person said, whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you don't understand what a blessing it is for me to
Yeah,
give this to you, to be
right.
able to help you. It's a blessing for me. So I love that you brought that up because it's so true.
Yeah, we're all part of one community.
Yeah.
Everybody is all part of the same organism here on this planet. And the more that we can be comfortable with the give and take, you bless somebody, they bless you. Not that you need them to repay you, but it just comes back in some form. Everything that you do has a repercussion, and it may not be from that person there. They may in turn go to somebody else and have the confidence to bless them. And it's such a beautiful thing when it works like that. And when you
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
just say thank you, thank you, thank you for thinking of me, thank you for being there for me. That means so much to another human being who may be feeling like, I'm insignificant, I don't really matter. But when they can do something for somebody else, that is just like, hey, I did something, I helped somebody, I made a difference today.
Yes. Yes. It reminds me of I didn't start out. This didn't start out like I'm going to write a book, I'm going to speak on stages, and I'm going to do all this. That was not at all. I just was simply like, I just want to use my story to help other people. And so it would just come up in conversations, that kind of thing. And, you know, as it has progressed along the way, that is what it has become. But it's because my purpose is in helping other people. But what has evolved from this is the more I share my story, the more I hear people telling me, I feel empowered to share my story now too. And so it's that cycle, it's that I'm helping them in a way that I didn't even think about by just simply owning my story and being willing to share it. It doesn't have to be on a stage, it doesn't have to be in a book. I was having just conversations, sharing my story, before everything exploded in my life. But yeah, some of the things that we do in our lives, when it's done from a place of love and wanting to help others, it can be life-changing for others in a way that we don't even understand at the time.
It can. And when you do things from the right place, and I'm gonna bring this up because you talked about this. You represent Senegence, which is a makeup company that has fantastic products. Let me tell you.
Right? They are pretty
I
amazing.
I love them. I wouldn't be without that control.
Climate control.
Climate control. Thank you very
Yes.
much. It was the first thing you
Yes.
told me to get, and I got it, and I hope I never am without it. This is amazing. But the company itself did something. You put in some effort, and you have an incredible story about that. Um, to get to their first conference after you'd only been with them for like 4 months, and you asked them to make some allowances for you. That did two things. From your viewpoint, it was like, this is a company that really cares about people. And that I do believe genuinely they do care about people. And they went out of their way to make you feel accommodated. Even
Yes.
though, as we said in the beginning, when you just look at you, you look totally fine. Like there's nothing wrong with you. But people can't see what's wrong with you. Um,
Exactly.
and it's pretty significant, and it impacts your life hugely every single day, even
Yeah.
now. But from their point of view, they've got somebody who's willing to like step out of their comfort zone. When your story is to get to that conference was pretty amazing, and it's inspiring. And when you get on stage and tell that story, it really pumps their distributors up. Excuse me, I'm getting over a cold. But
It's okay.
it pumps the distributors up, the other people that are at the conference, and makes them think, hey, if she can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
So it helps them. So by helping you and making you really comfortable and allowing you to come back, and giving you the confidence to keep doing what you're doing, because you know that you're going to get taken care of if you come to these events, and it's not going to be it's not going to injure you further. I mean, which
Right.
is a very real possibility when you do stuff like that with big groups of people, and you talk about that in the story. There was a moment where you just like, too many people, I'm going to get hurt if I do this, and so you couldn't
Yeah.
do something. But we'll leave it for the readers to read the story. But it was just it's an example of how the company is benefiting a lot from having you as one of their representatives, and they helped you by giving you the confidence to promote what they're doing, and they have a terrific product that always helps.
Right. Yes. Oh my gosh, that whole story. Oh, it's it's very extensive and it's very emotional for me because as you said, it was oh, it it was stepping out of the norms. It was doing something I had never ever done since the accident and didn't know if I could do until I tried. And I decided to try and I was able to do it and it just kept going. And they were so willing to, and they still are. Like, it's not just that one incident. It's whatever I ask for them to do, they are more than happy to do it to accommodate me. And at the last conference I was at, they had a couch ready for me, and I didn't have a pillow. And so one of them said, "Oh, let me go get one. I'll go get you a pillow." Like, it was just, I just have to name it, and they are willing to help me in whatever way. And as a person who lives with a disability, that is not something that's normal. That's not something you find everywhere. And that was part of my point in writing it the way I did in the book, is from a person who lives with a disability, there's a huge stigma around us that we are not as valuable, that we don't have as much to offer. And for a company to say, it doesn't matter, you have a disability, okay, we're going to do whatever we need to do to accommodate you and take care of you and make you feel comfortable so that you can be here, is just remarkable to me. It just really is. And the way they have just loved me and, taken me in. And, the founder and the CEO was on my podcast. She was a guest on my podcast. And so it's like, they're just real people. Like, they just see you as a real person, not as someone who's going to make me money, and I could talk about it for a long, long time, but yeah, it was a huge um, piece of my story. It's a huge piece of my story. Yeah.
It is a huge piece of your story, and it also leads into another topic, and that is having the confidence to step out. And because your mission, and you want to just tell the audience what your mission is. I know you've already
Yeah,
mentioned it a couple times, but
that's okay. My business is called Polish the Mirror, and it's based on a quote by Rumi that goes like this: "Ye who seek God apart, that which you seek thou art. If you wish to seek the beloved's face, polish the mirror and gaze into that space." And so that told me that every answer can be found within. If I can just go in, just get in touch with my soul, I can find all the answers that I seek within. And so once I was able to uh, change my mindset and choose to fight to live, I came across this, wisdom by Rumi and this polish the mirror. So I have developed this philosophy of polishing the mirror, getting in touch with your soul, of your authentic self, of who you really are, not who you are now, but who you really are meant to be. And so my mission is to use my story to help other people, and at the same time help them understand that the polishing the mirror can be a way of life for everyone, that it's not just me. I'm nothing special. I'm just a gal who's lived the past 10 years with a broken neck, trying to make a difference in the world. That's pretty much all it is. But I've figured out a way to do it, and I want to help other people know that they can do it too, that you don't have to have any special skills, that it's available for everyone.
it is. And everybody's got a story, and everybody has
Yes.
something in their past that has shaped them to be who they are today. And this is the thing that has always struck me with network marketing companies. People get involved in them, and I've done network marketing too in my life. But rather than allowing the products to be something that they have available to help, like, your products actually kind of go with your mission and your statement and what you're trying to help people with, because you ultimately want people to be able to express themselves as they're meant at a soul level to be. And part of that is, how we appear. And so
Yes.
the skincare products really kind of fit in there nicely, in my
Yeah,
opinion. Um,
they do.
it's like, people that sell weight loss products, if they're athletes or if they're vegans, or if they've got something that's their overarching mission, and then what they're selling is kind of like helps people to accomplish what their mission is. Does that make sense
Yeah.
to you? And
Yes.
I think that's the better way to come to the market, rather than just like, build a business and buy my stuff. which is the way most network marketing companies teach their representatives to go out, bug your family and friends. Well, your family and friends, they're not part of a movement. You've got to start your own little movement in life in order to be
Right.
able to have a market for whatever it is that you're offering. And there's lots of people in the world, and they all have different ideas about what they want to do. And every once in a while, we'll all intersect with each other over, different pieces that we can help each other with. And I just think that's really beautiful. But the thing that I really wanted to talk to you about is investing in yourself, because it's not cheap to join a network marketing company, especially when you're faced with like the mountain of bills that I know you've got to have when it comes
Yes.
to being involved in the medical world. So how
Yes.
did you just like, where did you find that I'm going to do this? I know that this is the right thing for me.
Oh gosh, that's a great question. Part of one of the things I do before I get out of bed every morning
Mhm,
is a tapping meditation that
mhm.
I have done by Tony Robbins. And it goes, I have to do it in order. I can't remember it honestly. Um, Now I'm on the spot and I can't think because I'm not laying in my bed, trying to do
I
it.
know.
Right? Um, oh my gosh, why am I drawing a blank? Anyway, when I get here, it's right here is I have the courage I need to take bold action. Then I am ready and I am enough. And so it's this one. I have the courage I need to take bold action.
Mhm,
Every morning I'm telling myself that I'm tapping it into my system
mhm,
and it makes an impact. And so when it came time for me to make that decision, like, this is a lot of money. It was when I was going to hire a coach, my very first coach. And I was like, that's a lot of money. And yes, I do have medical debt. I still have medical debt because being in the medical field as a patient is really expensive.
mhm,
Um, but it was that I have the courage I need to take bold action. And so I just asked, I went into, the connection I have with my soul. And I said, okay, is this the bold action I need to take? I have the courage I need to take it. Is this the bold action I need to take? And the answer was yes, yes, this is it. And so I was like, holy cow, okay, then you got to show me how to do it because I don't know how I'm going to come up with that amount of money to make this happen. Um, and I ended up, I was shown the way, like things just appeared and happened in a way that allowed me to do that. But it started with the fact that I was telling myself and tapping that into my system every day, those things. And that's, it's just part of who I am. It's not part of who I've always been. But
mhm,
since this accident and everything I've learned along the way, I'm a completely different person. And I love this version of myself now. It's like I see things from a totally different perspective. I am, people tell me all the time, they just love how thankful I am for little things. Like I am just so grateful for every little thing that happens in my life because at one point it was all stripped away from me. I had literally nothing, could do nothing for myself. And so I am extremely grateful for every little thing that I have. And I think that makes a difference as we go through life. Just the lens through which you see your life
mhm.
makes a huge difference.
It really does. And you can reframe anything in your life and be grateful for something about it. As
Yes.
as tough as some things are that we get faced with, there is always the silver lining. And as long as you're focusing on that silver lining, it's not like you ignore everything else because, life is still going on and there's things that need to be addressed and they may not be pretty things, but they have to be taken care of. But not dwelling on those or thinking when you think about them in a way that's positive and going to enrich your life.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. It is just a simple mindset shift. I say simple, that doesn't mean it's easy, but it is very simple that it's just shifting your mind to focus because our brain has a negativity bias. it automatically picks up on the negative. It will automatically, without even trying, it automatically jumps to a negative. And so it takes some effort. First of all, it takes understanding that and being aware of it, and then some effort to recognize, okay, this is negative. I don't have to stay there. I can move out of that. And, it just can be as simple as changing one thought. And, I created an emotion frequency chart, which I do talk about in my book, that's available on my website under the free tab. And that's what it's based on. I use it with my clients, but it's that you see where you are on the chart and where you want to be on the chart. And you just simply make the change in your thinking. You just change one thought to help you get up to the level that you want to be on, one at a time. You can't jump like 4 levels. Your body just won't do that. But if we can be aware of what we're thinking and then change just one thing about it, my gosh, it literally can change your life. It has for me. It has for me. Yeah.
And reframing what you're doing, what you're thinking. Marissa Pierce calls it "tell yourself a better lie," because they're all
I like
lies.
that.
Everything we experience, we experience for ourselves, and we make up a story about it. And that story is our story. No one else shares it with us, even if we're there with other people. And if you change the story, and I'm giving you permission. Everybody has the permission to change the story that they're telling themselves about whatever the situation was or is, to one that serves you better. Your life just feels better. You can be suffering, but if you're not causing yourself more pain by what you're thinking about, it makes a big difference.
Right. My son, when he was 16, said to me, "Mom, there are 2 kinds of people in this world. The first kind, they take the disability and they use it to keep them stuck. They use it to keep themselves down, to keep themselves stuck, to be sad about it. But then the other type are people like you, where they take their disability and they use it as a stepping stone to get to where they want to be, or they use it to work for themselves and don't use it as an excuse." And I thought, that's so profound for a 16-year-old, but he's right. Like, there are 2, I mean, it's not just people with disabilities, it's any people. You have a choice. And that's one of the things that I have learned and that I love to share, is that we always have a choice. At the time when I wanted to swallow that handful of pills, I didn't think I had a choice. But it's just that it was just so foggy and murky, and by all of the sadness and depression, that I didn't see another perspective. Someone else can come in and give you a different perspective, but sometimes we don't want to see it. We aren't willing to see it. But if we can do that for ourselves, just convince ourselves we always have a choice. There's always a different perspective that we can look through that lens and see the other side of it. Always.
We always have choice. And I love that you titled your book "Finding My Hero Within," because we're either going to be a victim in life or we're going to be a hero. And we can only ever be our own hero. As a victim, you're waiting for somebody else to be your hero. So you're giving all your power away. And as you give your power away, you give your life energy away. And that's how you end up in depression. That's why suicides happen. It's because they've given all of the power to change their life to outside forces, rather than recognizing that no matter what situation I'm in, I have the power to rescue myself. I can be my own
Yes.
knight in shining armor.
Yes. Exactly. And one of the things I say in the book is we're always looking, like we're taught to look outside ourselves for someone to come rescue us. We're looking, I give this whole list of things that we search for outside ourselves that we're looking for someone to come rescue us, when the whole time, the person that you have been looking for, the person I have been looking for, is in the mirror, is staring back at you. That's the person that you have been waiting for to come rescue you this whole time. You just have to get to know that person. You have to get to know that soul that's in there, and you can become your own hero.
I think this comes full circle to accepting help too, because sometimes I think people, and as as a as a person who's kind of immersed in either victimhood or early on recognizing that they could be their own hero, being your own hero doesn't mean you have to do everything yourself. It means
Yes.
recognizing that you have resources and taking advantage of the resources around you. You know, knights don't go out there and fight by themselves. They fight in groups. They have teams. And
Right.
as you're willing to embrace teams around you, and you know, teams don't mean that there's people that are going to come and be part of your team forever, all the time. There are very few people in your life that will be forever people, but often there are people that will come and journey through your life. And at that point, on the path that you both are walking on, you're walking at the same space. But you know, people veer off and they have other things that happen, but new people will come and join you. And it's what makes life, the journey of life, so interesting. And it's the give and take between the
Yeah.
two parties, or the more than two parties, but it's not being afraid to embrace those that are around you at the time, or that you bring on, and you know, intentionally we need to bring on people. Like when you're writing this book, it's the first time you've written a book on your own. I know you've published other books that have been collaborative efforts, but you know, you needed somebody that said, you know, an editor, you know, hey, do this. And you have other people that have come alongside you and said, hey, this is an idea. Let's walk down this path together. But not just by me with me, but you have other people as part of the whole package. And when the book is
Yeah.
published and it's very popular and it makes #1 on the bestseller list, and you go on Oprah and she gives it to her whole audience because it's amazing, and they make the movie about it. Remember us little people.
You are not
But
little people, please.
I can I can tell you, your story is the perfect story for the Lifetime channel. I
Oh,
can see it.
wow. Oh my gosh. That's, it's interesting that you say that because as part of my pre-launch, actually, I'm just creating this. I'm giving it free as part of the pre-launch. It will have a
Mhm,
ticketed price later, but I'm calling it Behind the Story. I
mhm,
have been over the past 10 years, been recording videos, taking pictures, journal entries, reflections. And so I'm putting it all together so that it's actually what the book was based on. It's me living it
mhm,
in real life, and I took that and built the book around that, about around my story. So it's called Behind the Story. It's a mini documentary
mhm.
about, like I said, with videos, pictures, journal entries, and reflections. That isn't exclusive. Like it's going to be free for the pre-launch people. Then it will have a ticketed price after that. But when you said a movie, I thought, oh my gosh, I'm already kind of doing, this little mini documentary where I'm putting all this together, because I feel like, if people are invested in the story, then, and this is me, when I read someone's story and I'm like, oh my gosh, I could see videos of what it was actually like in the moment. I would love that. And so I
Mhm.
just wanted to be able to offer that, to people too. And I thought that might be, exciting for some people to actually see that behind the scenes peek there.
I think it's really a great idea. I'm kind of excited about it myself. So
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to
how do
pour
people
through, but it's good.
how do people get on your pre-launch list?
It's really that my website is a hub for all the things. It has my social links. It has information about my podcast, and under at the time of this recording, it's called Coming Soon, and it has the picture of the cover of my book. And you can just enter your information there, and then as soon as it's available, I will send you an email, and you can go buy it and read it, and hopefully leave me a good review, so that more people, so that it can reach more people. I mean, I keep saying that that's my whole purpose, is that I want this to help other people. And so far, my beta readers, which Jill was one of them, have just given me such positive feedback. about what I have written, and that one person just really went over the top and told me how much he thinks this is going to help people who are dealing with adversity, who really want to embrace their authenticity, and that it's going to be kind of like a guidebook for them to help do that. And so my whole purpose is to just reach people, to help them understand that it's possible. I have said, I'm working on a TED talk right now, and I said to my TED coach, like, up front, I want you to know that this is not about me being famous. It's not about notoriety. It's not about anything else. It's all about how I can help the most people. And that's my whole purpose. And so I want to just carry that forward, even with it throughout the book, too.
Yeah. And the book is not just your story. You've also interspersed in it a few chapters that are practical application chapters, I guess is the best way to call it. But it's for people to use. So it's kind of it's definitely an interactive experience. It's not just like a novel that you sit down and read and you're like, oh yeah, okay, so now I know all about Amy. It's
Yeah.
yeah, now I know all about Amy, and I know about the tools she used to dig herself out of this massive depression she was experiencing. And maybe I could try that too. Maybe I can use some of these suggestions that she's made to make my life better. And that that that's hugely helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting because I originally included those extra little chapters because my story is so heavy. Like it's such a roller coaster. There's so many ups and downs to it. And I thought I've got to give the reader a break, And one of the things I want you to understand is that I wrote this with the reader in mind. Like, yes, I'm sharing this story, but it's all about helping the reader. And so I wrote this with the reader in mind. And I thought, I've got to give the reader a break. Like, you can't just take all of this, you got to have a break throughout the book. And so I originally wrote, knew that I needed to have chapters in there that would give you a break, and then realize that, okay, I have all of this knowledge and this, philosophy, this polish the mirror that I have created. I need to put a little bit of that in there too and make it actually like a guidebook, like you said, an applicable thing where people could take away something from it and actually put it to use in their lives right now. So I'm happy to know that you enjoyed those pages because, like I said, it's part of my heart. It's a huge part of my story of how I got through it, and to be able to help teach other people how to do that too is just, oh my gosh, I love it so much.
I thought the book was fantastic. I I can't recommend it enough for, for anybody that's just like curious about how to go from the pit that you're in, and all of us start in a pit somewhere,
Yeah.
to really getting out there and expressing your essence to the world. And you're just such a beautiful human being. It's
Aw,
pretty
you're so
amazing.
sweet. Thank you so much. I really appreciate you being willing to be one of my beta readers and giving me feedback and having me on here to be able to talk about it, to share it with more people. It really means a lot to me. And I'm just so thankful for the relationship that you and I have built. And I want to say that Jill is the very first podcast I was ever on. Like, when my coach told me you need to go book podcasts, I was like, I don't know what I'm doing. But Jill just took me in and she was like, let's just do this. And she was my very first one. And because of my experience with you, Jill, it made me want to do more because my experience with you was so pleasant. And it was like, it's not as scary as I thought it would be. And so I was able to book a lot more because of that experience. So I want to thank you for that as well.
Well, I'm so honored that you did come on, and you were one of my first people that I interviewed when I first started the podcast too. So,
Aw,
so it's
we were
really
newbies together.
yeah, yeah. And your podcast is doing well, and it's fun to listen to, and it's exciting to see where this whole thing is going for you. And I couldn't be more excited for you.
Well, thank you so much. It literally is just exploding. It's like I just opened myself. I say this a lot. I just opened myself up to it. Like, okay, I need to share my story to help other people. What does that mean? okay, the universe is like, okay, here you go, here you go, here you go, and all these opportunities just keep coming to me. And I just feel like I'm just so honored and humbled. Like, I just am so humbled. I don't take it lightly at all. It's just, oh, I don't even know how to explain it. It's such an honor, to be able to share my story in the way I have. And so I just appreciate it so much.
Well, I really appreciate you joining me today. And for all the listeners, go to getamyshelp.com to get on the pre-order list. Or if you're listening to this further in the future, you might just buy the book.
Yeah, if I'll eventually have the link to buy it on my website too once it's available. So you just go there and find it.
Perfect. And if they want to join you for your Senegence business, you can find Amy over on Facebook too, and you can get all of this information over on her website. So thanks for joining me, Amy.
Yeah. Thank you, Jill.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at the You World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.